Hey YouTube, and in today's video we are going to be reacting to How Hard is Geometry Dash by LYPRIN64. Go check out his channel. I saw Vortrox react to this video, but I closed out of his stream because I was like, no, I want to watch it with you guys. So let's go. It's gonna be a banger. It's 33 minutes long. Let's go. How hard is Geometry Dash? Total GD.
Geometry Dash is a very simple game. At its core, you are a cube. Click and you jump. The objective...
I can vouch. That is true.
Level.
That is true too.
If you touch a single triangle or hit the floor wrong, you have to start clicking. You have to go for nothing. Make sure you dodge all the spikes and hit everything.
To 100%.
Manage your nerves as you near the end and finish the level.
Nerve control for me is the hardest thing in GD. 100% is the hardest thing for me.
And when you finally do, you get a feeling of such incredible happiness that is so unique to this game.
I can vouch for that too.
But how do we get to that point? There's many different skills that you need to have besides just timing in order to beat certain levels in the game that might not be very obvious to the unfamiliar eye. So just how hard is it, and how hard does it get?
In the past, how hard is Geometry Dash? That's the video title. Stereo Madness.
RobTop, the sole developer of this game, created
Aura.
these faces to represent
Holy
difficulty in
Aura.
Geometry Dash. These difficulties range from easy to insane. Easy levels typically only have 1 or 2 game modes in the entire level and act as a starting point for new players. You might see the cube game mode, where of course you click to jump, or maybe the ball game mode, where you click to switch gravity. Insane levels, all the way over here on the other side of the spectrum, may have a larger mix of harder game modes, such as the wave or the shift game mode, as well as other elements such as orbs and portals that all change the fundamental gameplay in some way. Now, you'd think you'd be able to point to the one on the end here and say,
this is the hardest difficulty.
wrong!
100% it's not.
This is what the scale looked like when the game first released. But as the community grew better at the game, RobTop had to create a new difficulty icon. And
The
just
demon.
like that, the demon difficulty...
Look, look.
Bro, imagine if, like, RobTop never created the demon, bro. Like, imagine if society was an insane level. Like, that would just be crazy. Like, I'm so thankful for whoever made Demon Park, because I don't know off the top of my head, and inspired RobTop to make the demon difficulty.
There's the hardest difficulty, right there.
Oh my god, okay? Chill. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. We're not there yet, okay? Stop talking. This is not the hardest difficulty. In a following update, RobTop had to add even more difficulty phases. He added the demon difficulty subcategories, ranging from easy to extreme demon.
I'm
Right
playing
there,
a hard
right
demon
there.
right now.
Oh my god, this video is pointless. That there is the hardest difficulty. Oh my god.
Yo, the editing on this video is really good.
Player, you might be able to beat an easy or maybe a medium demon in a couple of hours. The hardest levels in the base game, the demons, are these 3, and are often some of the very first demons that players ever beat. Now, it's worth noting that even though they do have the icon of a hard demon, and
They're not hard demons.
considered easy demons. Jinxie, a very popular
I don't think Deadlocked is an easy demon. I think Deadlocked should be a medium demon. Or maybe a really hard easy demon.
streamer who has
Jinxie.
never touched the game before, was able to beat his first easy demon in a little over 120 hours of playtime.
120 hours on Club Step.
Violate his tens of thousands of viewers live on Twitch and YouTube.
I was there for that.
This is usually where an average player would lay in terms of maximum skill. Demons in general are known for their abnormal difficulty, requiring you to memorize where to go and when to click some very tight timings.
Some interesting icons.
You're also forced to adapt to gravity,
Future Funk.
understand the physics of the hardest game modes, and commit all of these elements to misalignment. Eventually, through enough playtime, you'll be able to adapt to these gameplay factors that you once knew nothing about. Each step in this staircase of difficulties is small, but it's enough to make the player feel good about themselves after taking them.
W Future Funk 2.
Maybe you learned how to play a certain game mode. Maybe you found the best way to learn levels fast. Or maybe you learned
Chad, don't mind my brother whistling, by the way.
precise and accurate clicks. Every single step here teaches you something, and that's what makes this game feel so good and so addicting to play. Thinking to yourself like, yeah, I understand.
I'll admit it, chat. I'm addicted to Geometry Dash.
Watch me beat it this time. The things you learn get harder and harder, but the accomplishments feel better and better. But the one thing I want to focus on today is here.
The Extreme Demons.
Top of the steps lays the Extreme Demon. This
What everyone wants to beat.
can't be put in towards how hard beating an Extreme Demon is. There are so many little factors, so many different little things that you need to know to even begin to play the easiest levels at this difficulty. Things that you might not realize you needed to know, which we're going to go over in a minute. And yes, while Extreme Demon is the
Accu.
hardest difficulty of level that is currently in the
There's
game,
levels to
there are
Extreme
many
Demons, bro.
levels to this title, and they're not all equally
Yeah,
hard.
100%.
They really are not all equally hard. To put into perspective this difference, the difficulty gap between Stereo Madness and Accu, which is one of the easiest Extreme Demons in the game, that gap there is smaller than the gap between Accu and the hardest Extreme Demon in the game.
That is the most crazy fact ever. So, the gap between Stereo Madness and Accu is a smaller gap than Accu to, I'm guessing this is Thinking Space 2 just because of the colors. And, yeah. I'm guessing at the point of the video, Thinking Space 2 is the hardest level. That is a crazy stat.
Realistically, RobTop needs to continue adding more unique difficulties beyond Extreme Demon, but that's hard to sustain due to the human limit always being pushed.
True.
The community has tried to make their own difficulty icons before, but
What the fuck? What? There's just like 20 of the same.
Bro, every time I'm on TikTok, or like it's a GD TikTok, and it shows like actual difficulty of a level, it always pops up one of these fucking colorful demon faces, bro.
One that just has like a slightly darker shade of red.
I don't know what to think about these. What is that, bro?
Auto demon?
Auto
What does
demon?
that even mean? Yeah, that one. Done that one.
Wait, that was fire.
This isn't even geometry, actually.
so in order to truly rank every single Extreme Demon in the
Secret way.
difficulty, the community came together to create this.
The
A
REDL.
comprehensive list ranking every Extreme Demon in order of how hard they are. And the very easiest Extreme Demon, which we're going to start off with today, is this.
Red World. I want to beat this.
Simple sentence becomes your website.
I'm going to turn myself from an audio visualizer. If you saw my last video, you recognize this. But I'm going to turn myself from this into a geometry dash icon because that's what everyone seems to be doing now.
Everyone does that? Except for me!
No.
That is the worst icon I've ever seen. There we go, it's cursed.
Now, without touching into every difficult level in the game, because that would take forever, let's start with the very bottom of RDL to sort of establish a basic knowledge of extremes with a level called Red World. Now, if we look at the factors that make this level an extreme, it's long, has choke points.
Does it
and
choke points?
Introduces a never-before-seen custom
The
game.
swing!
Whoa, that looks difficult. It appears to be using the ball game mode to switch gravity in a smooth motion, as if it's swinging. This level starts off extremely easily. Well, easy for an extreme. With some relatively simple ship and ball game. This
Hold on, chat, I forgot to take off the best friends text.
gameplay alone would
Sorry.
be about 6,
YouTube audience,
7,
sorry.
maybe even an 8-star difficulty. You move on
Forgot
to
to take it off my
triple
stream.
spikes. Still not that difficult.
Triple spikes.
These triple spikes you'll see in some of the easiest levels in the game. Then you move past into what seems to be the most insufferable choke point of the entire level, and then end off with another choke point,
Swing copter.
and then another. While this is the easiest Extreme Demon, these choke points of pointless garbage make it extremely unfun to play. Usually, in a normal level, these things would go through playtesting, so that the level creator can balance out all the difficulty spikes to make the level more
The
enjoyable.
time extreme?
However, this level was so hard that it was uploaded with the servers with a hack verification as an impossible level. Okay, I'm ranting. That's the history lesson behind Red Bull. This level has some pretty difficult timings, but it's not intense. It's mainly carried by its hard clicks, none of which are frame perfect clicks, but we'll get into that soon, as well as its tight ship gameplay and swing copter choke points. That's all this level really has going for it. Red World, while still being very, very difficult, has absolutely nothing on what we're going to talk about here in a minute, and barely even scratches the surface of the difficulty of geometry dash levels. Speaking of which, what's next on our list? Let's do an activity. You're going to help me make a really mediocre transition into what we're going to talk about next. Think back to a happy moment of your life. A fun hangout with your friends.
Beating B.
First kiss. maybe installing Geometry Dash for the first time, maybe uninstalling Geometry Dash for the first time. What you just accessed in your mind is called a memory.
Is he gonna talk about memory demons?
Geometry Dash has found a way to take these things and
Knew
put
it.
them into levels. Memory demons are a genre of level that you cannot cite. They require you to memorize when to click.
Chat, you'll never catch me beating a memory level. Never. If you catch me playing a memory extreme demon, then it's not me, it's fake.
Usually through trial and error. Looking back at Red World, we can see when to jump. It's more or less readable, like these triple spikes here that you need to jump over or this god-awful swing counter. You have a visual path here to go along, and the limits of this path are more or less obvious. Memory levels are where those concepts go to die.
What am I watching?
Depending on how memory-based a memory level is, you are forced to build muscle memory on where to click based on very little visual or auditory cues, if any. Take a look at this segment here. This is a level called Unleash Whale Whales. Tell me which block you should go onto next. This is a very important decision.
The bottom one.
If you get this wrong, you have to restart. The stakes are very high.
Just a guess.
Oh, you don't know? Well, this is just one jump. If you want to attempt beating this, you have to memorize the right.
The entire level's like that? Are we serious?
Paths for hundreds of these jumps for a little under 2 minutes. This is the entire level. And you want to know the best part? This doesn't even break the top 1,000 hardest levels in the game. These memory levels come in many different shapes and forms. For example,
Super
this
probably
is
level.
Super probably level, where you have to
I know
memorize what
ball.
the real borders are because all the ones you see here are fake.
You'll never catch me playing this
Here's
thing.
another one. You may think to yourself, oh, this man is simply floating. No, he's hitting jump orbs, dodging spikes, and constantly switching game modes in a completely invisible
Yeah,
level
hell no.
for 5 minutes.
5 minute long.
Minus speed breaking? This doesn't even break the top 750.
That's crazy.
It's okay though. It's mainly kicking to the beat of this nice song
Okay.
and enjoying those cute birds from You know, how hard could an invisible level possibly get? Sorry.
Hello? Okay, bro.
I really like the editing on this channel. Yo, again, shout out to LYPRIN64. Great videos. Make sure to check it out. I'm gonna like it. Great videos. Let's get back into it.
Of and broken. Yeah, what's that?
Give me a second. I'm looking this up right now.
How are you supposed to know where to go? Anymore, man. I'm done.
Okay, chill. It cannot be that hard.
Wow.
Let's take a peek under the curtain to see what the layout actually looks like.
So it's pretty open.
Okay. Now, usually this level of gameplay is probably about hard or maybe insane demon level, but it's difficult to judge a skeleton when it's covered by all that flesh and blood.
Yeah.
In other words, it's much harder than you think when a level is completely invisible. So, yeah, we're gonna put that right back.
Bloodlust. Is this Nexus? I think this is Nexus, right? Fine. Oh, the extension. Aura. I love Bloodlust, bro. I hope I beat it one day. Only beat it. I would never play GD again.
Agony. Looping all the way back to the start.
Nerve control.
Anger in knowing that you had that, and yet the only person you could blame is yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
You died at the end of a level because you couldn't manage your nerves. Who knows how long it'll take for you to get back to that point. Now you have to learn nerve control. There's many levels that exploit this particular skill, but it's most
Future
commonly
Funk.
seen in long levels. And if it's an extreme demon you're playing, it makes it even harder to control your nerves near the end of the level. The Geometry Dash community, specifically content creators,
I did not know Bloodlust was almost 3 minutes long. I thought it was like 2.5 minutes. It's 2 minutes 50 seconds.
have actually used this factor as a way to create more immersion and entertainment in their content. By buying a heart rate sensor or
Slaughterhouse.
something else that could record heart rate and setting it up on your recording software, you can see in real time when the player
Chat, should I
logs
get a
in
heart rate
and
monitor?
needs to control their nerves. The highest recorded heart rate in the Geometry Dash community at the time I'm saying this is 229 beats.
That
per
cannot be
minute.
healthy.
You know, I had my suspicions. It's actually not healthy at all. Even during exercise, it's well over what's considered dangerous. Without proper nerve control, high heart rate like this can actually put your life at risk, and more importantly, it makes
Imagine dying playing Geometry Dash. I don't think I could think of a worse way to go out.
levels harder.
Maybe drowning.
A deep
Or
run.
like running off.
Geometry Dash levels are most commonly
That's
long
close.
in length, which is anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes long. But anything past 2 minutes is an XL level, and this is where nerve control becomes a little more important. Light travel is one of these levels. Considered a true test of endurance and nerve control, this yellow level is 9 minutes of gameplay, with choke points, with the last part being some really tight wave gameplay. You want something harder? Here's one, which is just...
he gonna show
plain
Flame Wall?
death. It's 9.5
Death.
minutes long. The most egregious of examples is Eon. This
Oh,
level is
55
around
minute
800th
long.
hardest in the game at the time you're saying this. Now, knowing that, I want you to guess how long this level is.
It's none of those. It's 55 minutes.
Whoa, you're right on the money. It's 55 minutes long.
Yes, I got it right.
That's only 1% of progress every 33 seconds.
Real quick, it's me editing this. I know 33 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but keep in mind, most of your attention spans are less than 30 seconds.
The Subway Surfers
Like,
gameplay.
when's the last time you sat through a full-length ad, okay? Like while you were brushing your teeth, maybe you set your phone down to stand up to wipe your ass. That doesn't count. Imagine sitting through 110
I can't
ads.
sit through ads. Yeah.
And speaking of
heck yeah.
ads, half of you probably just
Yeah,
got
this guy
mad
playing
right now
Fortnite
'cause
is
I placed
buns,
my
bro.
right
Oh, it's
here.
LYPRIN.
Or I'm gonna place
LYPRIN, I'm sorry for calling you buns at Fortnite. But I think I would beat you in 1v1. Is he playing with Michelle Obama?
one right here.
Back to the
I'm
video.
not editing this yet, but yeah, 30 seconds is a long time.
Sure, the gameplay is like boring and easy, but it spikes in difficulty during the last 12%, and most of the challenge is in the length itself. There's harder, super long levels in the game, but
Flame
don't worry,
Wall.
we'll get to those later, so calm down. But this is why nerve control is such an important factor in a level's difficulty. Imagine spending thousands of attempts on a single level, listening to the same song over and over, putting in hours and hours trying to beat it.
I'm already tired of the Nine
Finally,
Circle song.
Get past that one extremely hard part in the level, and you physically start feeling your heart pounding in your chest. You know that it could take days.
What happens to me, bro, I can feel like the sweat on my body. Or like, I feel like my hands like itch. It's kind of weird to explain, like the inside of like the palm of my hand. Or like, also my vision will start to go blurry, bro. It's bad.
It's even weeks to get another shot at this. The sweat forming between your hand and the single button is causing you to lose grip. You can suddenly feel the clothes resting on your body, the placement of your other hand on your desk, and the more you think about these things, the more focus you lose. It's getting harder to see the things on your screen properly, and you notice the delay between your clicks, and... No! What? No! Agony. Looping all the way back to the start. We're going to start ramping it up here. The one thing you could expect from a Geometry Dash level is consistency.
That is
The
true.
Same gameplay every run. It's how you practice. But there are some
Except
levels
for a
where that's
couple
not the
levels.
case. Random elements are by far one of the most difficult factors in a level.
Is he gonna talk about Boobawamba? Because I feel like that's a mix of like the memory and the random elements. Is he gonna talk about Boobawamba?
It takes the linear element of Geometry Dash, the start and the end, and adds a whole other layer of complication to it. Instead of learning a singular path, you have to prepare yourself for all of the possibilities. RDL actually has a collection of categorized packs of levels that have random elements in them, scaling based on difficulty. Dark Odyssey is an extreme demon in the lowest difficulty.
I love
random
this
pack
level.
with
It looks
one
cool.
random segment. This. Right here during this wave, you have to look down here mid-gameplay and read these 3 arrows, and then punch in the code a little later to pass. Now this is a very small instance of randomness in a level that I felt was worth mentioning. But what if it's more than just this small section? Here comes Fog, an already
This
difficult
level's cool.
extreme demon with low visibility, rapid gameplay, and super precise.
Didn't King Samuel
This
beat
level
this?
is stupid hard, constantly switching between the hardest game modes with really tight choke points. At 90%, right at the peak of your nerves, 1 of 5 random symbols will flash on your screen, each one corresponding to their own unique, completely invisible path that you have to take. What
Yeah,
most
heck
people
no.
do is they try to learn
King
it on
Samuel
the
did
spot
beat it.
by reading the pattern here by just pausing the game. But okay, if Fog
I love his
is randomizer
mashups.
Pack 4, what could possibly be harder than that?
Boobawamba.
The art of the blade.
I've seen this level. Hell no. I will never touch this level. You have to like memorize the color of like a shrine or like a tiny little block or something. I saw this on TikTok.
It starts to get a little ridiculous. While you play this already hard memory demon, even harder than Fog, you have to pay very close attention to 3 different pieces of decoration within the level. The 3 elements are the color of this shrine gate, the color of this tiny square that's barely even on.
Yeah. Why would I be paying attention to a tiny little square when I'm playing an extreme demon?
The screen,
Heck
the
no.
color of this arrow. Each element has 4 possible colors, giving you a total of 64 different combinations. Okay, why do you need to know this? Well, at 63%, right as we get the last element that we need, you're faced with 16 columns of dark spots, and each of the 64 combinations is a code that you have to input by touching specific spots. Mind you, you have to spam as hard as you can
Whiz
to
kid.
not hit the wrong spot. So what people usually resort to doing is recording their gameplay, looking at all of the different elements, taking each element and putting them into a custom program until you get a code, then
Okay, I feel like that's kind of cheating though. Like, I feel like you shouldn't be able to do that.
resume the game trying to input the correct code. And that's the easiest of the 3 in this randomizer pack.
Coalescence. I think I've seen this level too.
Coalescence is a top 100 level. The entire thing is 4 times speed, forcing you to play some of the
I hate
hardest
fast
gameplay
gameplay.
at speeds that you can't even really process. However, the ending is very similar to Fog, except instead of one pattern that's played out, you are randomly shown 5 of 9 possible symbols, as well as their gameplay.
Like constellations.
Mind you, to get to this point, you have to play top 100 worthy gameplay while paying attention to these patterns. Then, when you hit this dash orb, the level shuffles these patterns and does not show you the gameplay for each pattern. And you're on a dash orb. You can't pause and unpause the level
'Cause
as
then
you
you'll
can in
die.
Fog, or it kicks you off the orb and you die. Now, there's only a handful of people in the world that can actually play this gameplay at the end, but to memorize a code while doing it, Amplitron, the creator
Heck
and
no.
verifier of this level, practiced for the ending by creating a custom program to learn each of the patterns. While this level is within some of the hardest ever in the game, there are 2 more extremely noteworthy levels that have random elements in them that I'm
Boobawamba!
going to talk about here very shortly that are somehow even harder than those. These levels have much more significant elements of
You would never
randomness.
catch me playing
They're on
Boobawamba,
a
bro.
whole different tier of difficulty that we'll get into later.
Chat, I'm sorry for my siblings yelling. I know you can probably hear them. They're playing Roblox right now, and I can't really stop them.
Down. First, we have to understand some terminology. What is a frame perfect? Geometry Dash's engine checks for a collision 240 times a second. This is the game's TPS, or ticks per second. Hey,
I
so
thought I
I spent the
froze.
last 3 days editing and making visuals for this upcoming explanation on what exactly a frame perfect is. And it's cool. It's 2 minutes of really high quality footage. It's 2 minutes. It's a lot of work. And right as I was getting more background footage, I thought to myself this doesn't match up with my script. So I plugged the entire thing into ChatGPT, and it turns out it's just wrong. And ChatGPT wasn't holding back. It was beating my ass like a.
The worst one so far. What?
Wrong. Really kicking me while I'm down.
Then we get to the nuclear disaster. I didn't think that ChatGPT could be mean.
Rub it in. You see all this effort, all this beautiful work, these beautiful visual
Trash.
I'm pissed, but I can't really blame anyone other than myself. I used 2 sources of information. I used a Reddit post and a YouTube video. And the YouTube video, it turns out the YouTube video, I didn't realize, it's 5 years old.
A little
and it's
outdated.
And the Reddit post is just wrong. This dude's just wrong. And I'm pissed. So just know, a really brief
How do you know ChatGPT isn't wrong though?
explanation to what a frame perfect actually is. The game checks for collisions and inputs at 240 times a second. If you click, you jump on the next tick. It's the setting that lets you click between ticks. It's called CBF, but it's only really used by the super duper good players and the super duper hard levels. Now, a true frame perfect is a 1-tick window, essentially. Now, the reason I confused myself is because the Geometry Dash community uses a mix of old terminology and new terminology to, explain timings, which I think
Aquamarine.
is stupid. So just know when you hear a 60 FPS frame perfect, it's this long. Yeah, the flash on your screen, it's this long. That's it. About 16
Pretty
milliseconds.
fast.
120 is 2 ticks, so 8.3. 240 is 1 tick, so 4 milliseconds. And any other smaller timing than that requires this setting. And mind you, a hummingbird flaps its wings 50 to 80 times a second, where every flap of a wing takes about 12 to 20 milliseconds. That's 3 times the window of timing you have to click a 240 frame perfect. Think about that
That's
for a
crazy.
second. That's how fast these players are clicking.
So hummingbirds are hitting frame perfects every time they fly.
Editing's hard. Please subscribe. Please. If you're confused, don't worry. It's a really hard concept to explain properly, so my bad. But just know, when talking in terms of timing, this is some of the absolute smallest, and they could be used to understand how precise you have to be in a level. Earlier in this video, I said that the skill gap between AQ and the hardest extreme demons is bigger than the stereo madness to a Q gap. It's because of frame perfects. You probably won't be able to find a single frame perfect click in any of these levels on the bottom half.
In the bottom half already. Let me think. Michigan, bloodbath, UFO.
RDL.
60
That's
FPS.
Now, with that being said, let's
I
finally
gotcha.
move on to some of the hardest levels in Geometry Dash. Up to this
Yo,
point,
my brother is actually
we've
being
discussed
annoying.
various difficult levels with their own gimmicks, whether it be memory-based, fast-paced gameplay.
Chat, I'm gonna be right back, and I'm gonna tell my brother to please not scream. Alright guys, I am back. I'm going to need to install soundproof things in my room. But anyways, let's get back to the video.
long levels. There's many aspects to a
Eon.
Geometry Dash level that make it hard.
Wait,
However, there
this
are
is the
levels
Limbo
that push
song.
many of these at once to their absolute human limit.
Limbo.
Starting off with one of the most popular levels ever.
I love Limbo so much,
is a
bro.
bright and vibrant memory demon.
This is the
entire level
memory
is
demon.
either impossible to sight read or extremely hard to navigate. It's over 3 minutes long.
Chat, I have a funny little story real quick. I showed one of my best friends Limbo, and they've never played Geometry Dash before. They literally didn't know what was happening. It's so funny.
And has a whole 11 frame perfects, according to this guy. And it's most famous for its randomized ending. Not only do you have to hit a 16 millisecond window 11 times throughout the course of 3 minutes, but you have to follow that up with playing this legendary ending. Near the end of the level, you will see a key glow green. You have to follow this key with your eyes, and yes, every movement and shuffle here is completely randomized. There is no possible way to prepare for this segment. And while you follow the right key with your eyes,
Get to
you
spam.
also have to simultaneously play the hardest game mode, clicking at a bare minimum of 6 times a second as to not die. And you can't click at a steady rate. You have to vary your click rate
'Cause you go up and
perfectly
down.
in order to avoid crashing into these mounds of spikes. And now you're here. You have to choose which key is the correct one, assuming you followed it correctly. Now, unlike Fog, you cannot pause here. This mechanism here grabs you, and if you let go
Yeah,
for
'cause you
even
let go,
a
you'll hit the
single
spike.
frame, you die. Much like how the dash orb works in Coalescence. You have to let go when the key of your choosing glows in order to make your selection. If you pick wrong,
You die. Limbo is such a cool level, bro.
however, if you made it to the end, watched the keys shuffle, tracked it with your eyes, and chose the right key after all of that,
Such a good level, bro.
So, let's check off the list of skills that you need to be one of the absolute best at in order to beat this level. Memory, check. Timing, check. Nerve control, super check. And most importantly, focus.
I know this level. Booba Wamba!
Let's go up a little more.
Bro,
This is a level called
chat, instead of, like, torturing people and, like, actually torturing people, let's have someone play Booba Wamba without practice mode, without start pause, and see if they can get 50%. I think that should be the new method of getting information out of people.
Wamba. What you're seeing right now is footage of a frame-perfect counter for the level. This is absolute needlepoint gameplay that you're watching right now. Not only do you have to land 35 frame-perfect, but it consists
But you're
of
blind.
the hardest gameplay of the hardest game modes in the game. So what makes this level harder than Limbo?
You're also
Well,
blind.
this level also has random decorations, just like the Art of the Blade. Specifically, 5 of them. Now, there is something I'm not telling you. All of the footage you have seen of this level so far has just been gameplay.
A layout.
It's the layout for the level. I needed to show you this so you can get a grasp on how hard this is to play. This isn't what you see when you're playing the level. This is what
Bro,
you
the
see.
transitions in this
Uwamba
video are
is
so
currently
good.
the hardest memory level in the game. This level gives so little visuals while expecting you to hit frame-perfect jumps. As for the 5 decorations on the level, you have to keep track of these 5 elements that may or may not.
Wasn't Bubawama placed at like 13th when it got verified? And then it moved up to number 2, like it peaked at number 2. Okay, who in their right mind that works at the Demon List placed Bubawamba at 13? Or something like that. I don't know if it was exact 13. Who placed it down there? They should be fired.
Play. Yes, they are randomized every attempt. Then, at the very end, you have to remember which elements were present in your run, and jump through these frame-perfect gaps.
I didn't know these were
with a
frame
button
perfects.
Mid-jump for each decoration that didn't appear. And if that wasn't enough, the order in which you input the decorations is also completely randomized, so you need to know which decoration corresponds to which number. The level of insanity you have to go through to even think of attempting this level is...
And Zoink beat it in a week.
You can see nothing, have to hit repeated frame-perfect jumps, keep an eye on which decorations are there or not there while you play, and manage your nerves as you input them at the end. Albeit, it's not as long as Limbo, and yet it is placed in the top 10 hardest...
Who placed it at 14, bro? Like,
Speaking of length, there's another level that I want.
Flame Wall.
Flame Wall is the highest test of endurance in the entire game. Not only does it have double the amount of frame perfects as in Bubawamba, these frame perfects are spread out across 7 minutes of extremely fast gameplay. According to the verifier, it took him over 20 months to
Quattro
verify this,
Cientos.
and for good reason. This level is so intense for so long
And then Zoink
that
beat it
Quattro Cientos
in 11K
literally had
attempts.
to take breaks to wipe the sweat off of his hands and keys. Compared to the slower-paced gameplay of Bubawamba, Flame Wall is always so much faster, forcing the player to harness excellent nerve control, hit insanely tight timings, maintain stamina, and resolve. And if it wasn't bad enough, at the very end of the level, there is a straight fly, where you have to perfectly balance the time your clicks are pressed down and lifted up, in order to fit through this extremely small gap at the end. The verifier died at 99% right here while trying to verify.
I would quit
which
GD.
had to be devastating.
Did he die twice? To 99?
Not once, by the way.
Yeah.
He died there twice.
When you have everything you need.
Chat, we are hitting the YouTube tech because I don't want to watch an ad. If you don't know tech, there it is.
But on September 21st, 2025, after getting an attempt 6 minutes in,
He verified it.
this is a good demonstration of how important nerve control can be in this game. Flame Wall is currently the second hardest level in the entire game.
Thinking
under
Space
a
2.
level called
Now
Thinking
Flame Wall's
Space.
at 3.
Now, compared to the other levels that we covered today, Thinking Space 2 is actually one of the shortest ones. Really, this level has no gimmick at all. It has a relatively clear path, shows its limits well, so where does
It's
the
just frame
difficulty
perfect
come from?
spam.
Pure skill.
Yeah.
This level is all rapid timings, and it is the current human limit. These clicks are so rapid that there's even a part right here where you have to have a second input to click fast enough
The
to
alternate
avoid
click.
dying. So, how many frame perfects does Thinking Space 2 have? It's gotta be
Is it like
way more
120?
than Wamba, Flame Wall,
120
all these
around?
insanely difficult levels, right?
I was actually close.
This level has some of
129
the hardest
frames per
timings
second.
ever in Geometry Dash. I can't really explain how hard this is. To put into perspective just how hard you have to play, I was looking through YouTube and I found this video. What you are watching right now is the verifier and the first victor of Thinking Space 2 with their winning runs on top of each other. You can't even tell that there's two sets of gameplay here. It is that precise. This is the current human limit of Geometry Dash.
I'm gonna be honest, chat. I don't really like Thinking Space 2.
But what if I told you it can get even harder? As you may know, in order for a level to show
Was it
up on
Trap
audio,
House?
it has to be verified, which means it needs to have been beaten at least once to confirm that it can be humanly done. Every day, there are people trying to verify the next hardest level, and at the time I'm saying this, the biggest race in Geometry Dash's history for the top one
Dude, this
spot
race
is
was so
happening
peak.
right now. Levels like Grief, Heliopolis, Angelicide, Cosmos Unleashed, Society, and so many more are having hundreds of thousands of attempts.
I mean, this is really like the best time to be a fan of GD, I think. Other than like the OG days, because I wasn't around in like 2015. But like this race is so peak, bro. I hope Grief gets top one. If Grief is somehow not top one, I will cry for Doggy.
Poured into them to take that top spot first, with many of them being extremely close to being verified. These levels have hundreds of frame perfects, timings tighter than anything in the top 10, and gameplay so hard that if any of these
hate
would be
the human
verified,
limit.
they would be placed above Thinking Space 2 in a heartbeat. Many of these verifications are being live streamed, with tens of thousands of people waiting eagerly at the chance to see the next hardest thing be beaten right in front of their eyes. Every step that's made, every new best gains thousands, even millions of views. This goes to show just how excited the community is to watch these incredible players do incredible things.
Hey.
Hi.
I was at a party, and
New top one just randomly.
Society.
Just verified GD's
W
new top
Pop
one.
Off has officially won the top one race.
W
Which is
Pop Off
I
just
love
verified
Society so much.
turns out Society just got verified.
Holy tough edit.
What?
I'm a menace to society.
No way! I'm a menace to society. Oh my god.
The visuals in this video are so good. This video better be in the GD Awards at the end of the year. I better see it. Because I'm voting for it. I don't care what other videos are up there. I'm voting for this.
Players that stand at the top single-handedly redefine the human limit.
Zoink.
Things that were once a struggle to new players is now muscle memory through thousands of hours of practice. A common misconception is that Geometry Dash is a rhythm game, but at a certain point, it turns into something else. It becomes a test of spirit. So, to answer the question of how hard is Geometry Dash, it is as hard as humanly possible.
Is it the end of the video?
Goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know it's a bit far-fetched, but I would deeply appreciate it if you subscribed.
Yes, guys. Subscribe to LYPRIN 64 like I already am. Because I was in the stream when Vortrax rated him. I'm just gonna comment. Peak. Did absolute. Oh. That was bad. Seminar. I still spelled it wrong. I think. Alexa, how do you spell absolute?
ABSOLUTE.
That was the most embarrassing thing ever. Is that right? Okay, I don't even fucking care. Peak video. Go subscribe. Show them love. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.